Hey everyone, welcome back to our channel. If you're new here, please subscribe. I'd really love that. If you're returning, how you doing? What we're going to be talking about right now is what could possibly be happening and what human history has taught us and the stage that could possibly be set for all of us. Okay. So before I get started, grab your coffee, maybe a SNICK snack or two. Okay. And let's get into it. So most people don't realize, but all of our lives could possibly change. You know, we're moving into a time of global war and total destruction that we will witness, and it will be off the charts. World War One was supposed to be the war to end all wars, and it resulted in approximately 20 million losses of life. I mean, it was truly a nightmarish conflict. And those living at that time thought that we would never see anything like that ever again. But then World War II happened, and it resulted in approximately 75 million loss of life. And then sadly, global leaders seem to have forgotten the lessons of World War II, because now the stage is being set for possibly the biggest war in human history so far. Okay, you've heard the talk about World War III and this, that, and the other. Okay, billions of people could possibly, loss of life here. Okay, unfortunately, it appears that there will be no turning back now. Okay, and it's not just my personal opinion, it's the opinions of many that the war in the Middle East will be the first conflict to rise to an apocalyptic level. All right. So on Wednesday, Israeli defense minister warned the media that he feels that there is an obligation to change the situation in the north. Okay. Israeli officials, okay, on Wednesday, they escalated the threats against Lebanon's Hezbollah amidst escalating cross-border exchanges of fire between the two sides. They said, we are completing the land and the air preparedness, strengthening the intelligence systems, and preparing for any possibility. Okay. And they said, we have an obligation to change the situation in the north. Okay. That's what he was stressing. So, in other words, the Gallant fully intends to push Hezbollah back so that approximately 100,000 Israeli citizens can safely return to their homes in northern Israel. Another Israeli official has issued an even more ominous warning. It was reported that an anonymous senior Israeli government official told a news outlet that if Hezbollah continues to attack Israel, southern Lebanon will look like Gaza. Beirut will not be immune. That's some extremely strong words, man. I mean, that's just not something that you spit out. Okay. I mean, wow. Okay. Then this week, this administration has been trying desperately to find a diplomatic solution of some kind that will satisfy both sides of the aisle, but that endeavor was never going to succeed. Meanwhile, you have Israeli officials have been making preparations for a ground invasion in southern Lebanon, and it's been reported that operational plans for an offensive in Lebanon has officially been approved. So the IDF, or the Israeli Defense Forces, on Tuesday announced that the plans to launch an offensive in Lebanon against Hezbollah have formally been approved. The IDF statement further said that it is preparing to accelerate readiness in the field. At a moment, this situation is deteriorating given the Lebanese paramilitary group, which is backed by Iran, has in the last days sent hundreds of drones and missiles into northern Israel. Now, this statement spelled out operational plans for an offensive in Lebanon were approved. I was stunned, to say the least, the very least. I knew what was coming. I saw it because this is what I do. I read, I research, I saw it coming. Okay. But this quick? No. When the IDF enters southern Lebanon, it's all out war, man. All out. Okay, game over. All right. On Wednesday, the leader of Hezbollah warned vaguely of new weapons and intelligence capabilities that his organization now possesses. Wait a minute. Okay, if they have new weapons and intelligence capabilities that could help it target more critical positions deeper inside of Israel, okay, I mean, this militant group leader is warning now, okay, and these comments came as the month-long cross-border conflict that has been simmering between Hezbollah and Israel, which appears to be reaching to a boiling point. And a day after a U.S. top envoy met Lebanese officials in his latest attempt to ease the tensions. And this week, Hezbollah also released some very alarming footage. Okay. They published footage on Tuesday, and I'm not going to show it because hell no, I'm not going down that route. From what it said was one of its reconnaissance drones that was flying over northern Israel, including the Haifa, and that's Haifa port, as Israel said it struck down more suspected drones over the western Galilee. It was unclear when the roughly 10 minutes of footage released by Hezbollah was captured, and the IDF did not immediately comment on the video. So Iran has provided Hezbollah with a vast arsenal of very sophisticated missiles, and once an all-out war erupts, tens of thousands of those missiles are just going to come raining down. I'm sorry, but it's the truth. There is not going to be a single city in Israel that will be out of range. Okay? How do you think Israel might choose to respond in such a scenario? You might want to start thinking about there. I mean, and please, for the love of God, pray for all the innocent people, because no one deserves this. I don't care what anyone's opinion is on anything or anyone. Pray for the innocents. I just, I have no words anymore. I just want all of it to stop, but unfortunately, it's not going to. I even want the stuff in Ukraine to stop. I want all the conflict to stop. I want there. I mean, why can't there be peace in Ukraine? Why can't there be peace in Iran and in Israel? Why can't there be peace here, for crying out loud? You know? Because apparently now the Russians are now saying that the next proposal they will offer Ukraine will be to offer a surrender. Okay. But who has to surrender? Is Russia just going to say, okay, I'm done? Probably not. I mean, I don't know. I honestly just believe that, you know, Putin just needs to put on his big boy panties and just knock it the frig off. I really do. Okay. Yeah, all right. We know who has the biggest you know what. Did you measure it? I mean, come on, stop now. Just stop. I mean, it's just becoming ridiculous anymore. And Western leaders are absolutely obsessed with winning and who's losing and who's got this and who's got that. And they insist that they're going to keep ramping up their efforts for as long as it takes. But do they care about the innocent lives that are being lost here? No, they don't. In the end, it appears that both sides are willing to keep escalating matters. And people will say, well, I don't like this one and I don't like that one. It doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is the innocent lives that are being lost. That's what matters. Over what? Does anybody really know why this conflict even started? It's stupid. It really is. But unfortunately, when we do find ourselves in a direct war with Russia, we could also find ourselves in a direct war with that Kim Jong Un from North Korea at the same time, because those two nations, they just signed a what's called a mutual defense pact. Yeah. So you got Putin and you got Un or Jun Un or whatever, however you pronounce his name. They signed a new pact on Wednesday that includes a pledge of mutual defense if either is attacked. Yeah. And this agreement was sealed at a summit in Pyongyang during a rare visit by Putin to the reclusive nuclear armed state as both countries face growing confrontations with the West. I mean, this is huge, guys. This is really big news, okay? And I don't know why it's not getting coverage by the Western media, because if one of them gets attacked and they say, oh, it was them, it was them, it was them, and say it wasn't us, or it wasn't that one, or it wasn't that one, both of them are going to start aiming at some country because they think in their messed up minds that it was. The Russians have been making all sorts of moves, unusual moves lately. For example, it was reported that Putin just picked up his niece to be Deputy Minister of Defense for the Russian Federation. Your niece? Isn't there somebody more qualified? I don't know. I mean, even for Putin, I thought that was rather bizarre. But I guess they do things differently over there. I don't know. But before I close this video, I want to discuss a couple new developments that are regarding China. A new weapons package for Taiwan that is worth almost 400 million has been approved. And this isn't going to make the Chinese happy at all. Okay, the US State Department has approved a new weapons sale to Taiwan involving hundreds of armed drones and missiles worth, it's like $360 million, something like that, just ish, okay? The Pentagon's defense secretary said. Now, under this deal, it was concluded on Tuesday that Taiwan will receive the Altius, and that's ALTIUS 600M systems, which are unmanned aerial vehicles that are equipped with warheads and related equipment at an estimated cost of $300 million. Now, of course, the Chinese have been preparing for this all along, as those preparations have included expanding the size of their nuclear arsenal faster than anybody else on this planet. Okay, and they are they want to become like this superpower, like this, I don't know what you want to call it, like the biggest like entity on this planet. And it's just the strangest thing I've ever seen, that I've ever heard of in my life. The Stockholm International Peace Research Institute wrote in a report that was published on Monday that Xi Jinping has increased the nation's nuclear stockpile from 410 to 500 in a single year. How the hell do you do something? I mean, think about that. The increase in nuclear weapons meant that China is expanding its nuclear arsenal faster than any other country in absolute terms. How is that possible? How? I mean, most people don't like to think about this because it will mean the end of society as we know it today, about like nuclear war and stuff like that. But at the rate that they are growing their arsenals, it's almost like this could actually be a freaking possibility here. I mean, someday when the US finds itself in such a conflict, it will be relying on an ICBM fleet that first went into service decades and decades and decades ago, and that it constantly needed to be repaired. It's like that car that you just won't give away or give up or trade in, and you're bringing it to the mechanic every single month because it keeps breaking down on you. Think about it, okay? Most Americans don't realize that our strategic nuclear forces are in horrendous shape. In many cases, those running these systems are forced to use rotary phones and 8-inch floppy disks. My laptop that I'm using right now doesn't even have a DVD tray. It just has USB ports. Okay? Because everything is USB anymore. Meanwhile, the Russians have introduced a new line of ultra-advanced intercontinental ballistic missile, and the S-500 is the best anti-missile system on the entire planet by a very wide margin. I don't think this is sinking in for a lot of people. Over the past decade or so, the balance of power has shifted dramatically. When we were once looked at as the world's superpower, we were looked at as untouchable. We were looked at as like, wow, the United States of America. And now, bruh, come on, look at us. I would highly recommend that our leaders pursue peace while they still can, because we're simply not prepared for the type of war that is staring us dead in the face. Just saying. All right, I'm out of here. I'm going to go visit my granddaughter. I got to go get my hugs and kisses while I still can. All right, I will see you guys in the next one, okay? You stay safe, you stay positive, you keep prepping. And as always, fear less if you can. Ciao.